Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ian. This is Opinion, and yes, indeedy, it is that time once again. We're digging into the ongoing series, The Mandalorian, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on episode 3. Please keep in mind that there are going to be spoilers throughout this, so if you haven't watched it yet, come on back and see what I think when you've completed that mission. I did notice there are a good number of people who seem to be really genuinely satisfied and gushing over this particular episode. Baby not Yoda. Oh boy. Oh, did they drop that hook in the water and y'all just bit. You are going crazy, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Baby Yoda. I wish you luck getting a plush when those come out, because you know that's going to happen. What I do think works for this episode is that we're obviously getting a little deeper with the characters. We're getting the nuts and the bolts, and we're understanding the Mando more. Admittedly, it is really hard to connect with a character that's constantly in a mask. And when he goes to the power-up shop, I call it the power-up shop, is where, you know, he goes to get some fancy new gadgets and he upgrades his armor, and that's his special spot where he has his flashbacks. Apparently, we get to see a little bit of the Mandalorians as a group interact more, and we learn how their dynamic. We get a new catchphrase, which probably already has a hashtag slapped on the front of it and is all over Twitter. This is the way. But I do feel like we're starting to get somewhere with him. We're understanding him more, and one of the biggest turns for him in this episode is that his conflict. You know, he does something a bounty hunter doesn't normally do. He goes and takes back the bounty because he has a moral dilemma that it's a living child, and he senses that something is up. I think we all know that we all saw this coming. We saw it coming that there was a doctor involved because they wanted to do stuff to not Yoda, and probably likely that he was going to have some sort of dilemma of conscience about bringing this baby back. The main thing that's not working for me with this series is that the formula is so transparent, and it's the same components in every single episode. I know what to expect. I know what's coming. And the biggest part of that, the biggest component, is this deus ex machina in every episode that they keep using. Mando gets in these impossible situations, or these really life-threatening situations, and just something comes and saves him. In the first episode, it was I Have Spoken, saving him from the Blargs. In the second episode, it was not Yoda, saving him from the Mudhorn so that he could have time to get on his feet and do something about it. The Deus Ex Machina in this particular episode, to me, was so contrived, so predictable, so over the top, that it just pushed this into fan fiction for me. It's just like, I just imagine somebody going, let's get all the Boba Fett's to just Boba Fett as much as they can to save Mando. It was even too much for me. It felt more like a Marvel moment than a Star Wars moment, and that's what I'm afraid of. I'm really tired of watching this main character get in these really difficult situations and get saved by somebody. At some point, he's got to get himself out of it, and maybe that's coming later in the series, but they have got to move on from this device. They just keep doing it, and it's really getting boring to me as a story element. Oh my God, I don't even know. Here's another thing that's bugging me about this series. When you have a thing that continually is popping up in a story, it's got to have some explanation. These trackers have to be explained, because I don't understand how they work or why they would work. I mean, does the bounty, do they manage to get like an implant in every bounty so that the tracker knows where it's going? Is there an implant in Not Yoda? Like, where is it? What is it homing in on? That's what I don't get. We need a little more clarification on that. Like, they're not gonna blarg their way out of this one. And here's another thing about the trackers in this episode. It turns out pretty much every bounty hunter was looking for not Yoda. So every single one of them has a tracker. Why were they all at Galaxy's Edge? Like, why are they all there? Wouldn't they all still be out looking for it? They don't know that it's been found yet, not until it's back and delivered. And here's the other thing. If this was such a prized bounty that they had to get, really like either really skilled bounty hunters or these just killing machines like IG-11 to go get it, why did they give a tracker to every Tom, Dick, and Greedo to go get it? Like, how? That doesn't make any sense, because somebody along the lines was going to screw up. Are they all just magnificent bounty hunters? And Mando happened to be the one that got it. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And while I'm on this little tear, hey, might as well get into nitpicky shit. Nitpicky shit. If we're gonna have flashbacks, can they maybe be progressive instead of the same flashback every time? How do the trackers turn on again once Mando takes not Yoda? And something about the action in this particular one was very video gamey. It was very, I actually didn't feel like I was watching Star Wars at a couple points, especially the one where he goes back into the compound to get not Yoda and takes out all the stormtroopers. That not only felt like a video game, I felt like I was watching a CSI or something. You just could have slapped any characters in there, and it just would have been a shoot 'em up scene. It was really generic to me and way too easy. The fights in this series don't hold a lot of tension for me. I'm never worried about the characters. I always know that someone's gonna swoop out of the sky or lift a building or have a weapon they didn't have before and get the main protagonist out of a jam. He got these cool new arm darts in the power-up room, and he used them in the same episode. I thought they were maybe gonna wait a little bit to see how it works down the line, but no, they did it all. They did it all at once. They used his flamethrower. They used his little flying birds, whatever they're called. He did it all. He just wiped out all his weapons. I did like the ending scene because I thought it was a nice bookend to what we got in the beginning. We see not Yoda and Mando, and he's kind of like, don't touch my shit, while they're in the ship. And at the end, you see that Mando's attitude has kind of changed a little bit, and he's developing a relationship with not Yoda now. I do think this episode marks a pickup of the pace, and it's getting its footing more, and the characters are getting a little more interesting. I thought the music was the worst in this one. It doesn't even seem like music. It just seems like little musical comments on scenes and stuff. It just goes doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I don't even, what is that, the sound? Is that what it does? I don't know. So my honest take on this is that I'm still not sold. I like that the characters are developing a little bit more. Parts of this didn't feel like Star Wars to me. It felt like video games, and it felt like it was for a very, very limited audience that I don't feel like I'm a part of. I'm an old fan. I go all the way back, and I was just kind of doing this. Thank you so much for joining me for this review of episode 3. I'll be back for episode 4 as well as my regular content. I'm Ian, and that's my opinion.